All right, welcome back everyone to the Deep Dive, diving deep into A Course in Miracles, lesson by lesson.
Yeah, super excited to be back. Back for another lesson.
Today we're on lesson 9.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like, coming off of lesson 8, we were talking about like recognizing the light within and choosing to see that in others
Yeah.
and kind of like how that like changes everything.
Yes, and it really does change how you view the world.
Yeah. So I'm curious to get into lesson 9
Okay.
because it feels like it's taking a step further in a really bold way,
Mm-hmm.
I guess to kind of set it up. The affirmation for this lesson is, I am entitled to miracles.
Wow.
So what are your initial thoughts on that? Because to me, it's like, whoa, that feels big.
Right, yeah. I mean, it's interesting because I think for a lot of us, we come to these teachings, especially All Course Miracles, and maybe we've always felt, kind of like a lack of worthiness.
Hmm.
Like, oh, miracles are for other people. Or, you hear those stories and you're like, well, that would never happen to me. I'm not special enough or good enough or whatever it is.
Yeah, it feels like there's like this inherent sense of lack
Yeah.
that so many of us are like carrying around
Yes.
without even realizing it.
Right, yeah.
And so when you hear something like, I am entitled to miracles, it almost feels like it's confronting that
Yeah.
in a really direct way.
Yeah, it's really challenging that scarcity mindset, which I think is so pervasive, not just in spirituality, but in like every aspect of our lives. It's like we're conditioned to believe there's not enough to go around, whether it's money or love or success or even miracles, right?
Like we're all fighting over scraps.
Yeah, exactly. But this lesson is saying, hold on, there's a whole banquet here, and you have a seat at the table.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
And it's so true because if we really believed, truly believed, that we were entitled to miracles, how would that change? Like literally everything. I mean, how would we
Yeah.
approach our work, our relationships, even just our like daily routines?
I think it would change everything. Like imagine waking up every morning and knowing, not just hoping, but knowing that you're going to experience something miraculous that day. How much lighter would you feel? How much more open to possibilities?
Just be like, bring it on.
Totally. And I think that's what this lesson is inviting us to do, to step into that space of expectancy and receptivity.
Mm.
Because the truth is, miracles are happening all the time. We're just often too caught up in our limiting beliefs to notice them.
So true. I was reading, actually, before we started, just like a little blurb about lesson 9.
Yeah.
And it was talking about how like so much of our experience is shaped by our perception, right? And if we're constantly focused on lack and limitation, well, guess what? That's what we're going to see and experience.
Yes. And that's why the Course emphasizes the power of choosing a different perception. It's not about denying the challenges we face, but about shifting our perspective to see the possibility for miracles even within those challenges.
So it's not like putting on rose-colored glasses and pretending everything's perfect.
Exactly. It's more about cultivating a sense of awareness, of being present and open to seeing things differently.
Okay, so then how do we put this into practice? Because it's one thing to kind of intellectually grasp this idea, but how do we actually make it a living, breathing part of our lives?
Right. Well, the Course gives us some concrete tools for that. One of the simplest is affirmations. And I know affirmations can get a bad rap sometimes, like they're just empty words.
Yeah, they can feel a bit cheesy.
They can. But the power of affirmations lies in their ability to reprogram our subconscious mind. So with lesson 9, instead of mindlessly repeating, I am entitled to miracles, try really feeling it as you say it. Connect with the truth of that statement on a deep level.
So it's almost like embodying the feeling of entitlement.
Yes, it's about shifting your energetic vibration to align with the frequency of miracles.
So it's not just like saying the words, it's like feeling it in your bones.
Exactly. Because when you feel it, you start to believe it. And when you believe it, you start to see it manifest in your life.
I like that. It's almost like if you imagine somebody who walks around knowing they're entitled to miracles,
Yeah.
they probably have better posture.
Right. They probably smile more.
They're probably more open to opportunities.
Yes. They radiate a different energy.
Exactly. And it's not because they're like magically different. It's because they've chosen a different way of seeing themselves and the world.
And that's the beauty of A Course in Miracles. It's all about choice. We have the power to choose a perception that aligns with miracles, with love, with abundance.
And I think that choice is reflected in so many of the practices the Course encourages. Like we've talked about affirmations, but there's also things like forgiveness, gratitude, mindfulness. All of these practices help us cultivate a mindset that's more receptive to miracles.
Absolutely. And speaking of gratitude, I think that's such a key ingredient in this whole equation. When we're focused on what we're grateful for, it's like we're opening up a channel for more blessings to flow into our lives.
It's like attracts like.
Exactly. Gratitude is a magnet for miracles.
I love that. So as we're kind of wrapping up our deep dive into lesson 9 here, I'm wondering if you could like share one concrete exercise or practice that our listeners could take away and start implementing today to like really embody this lesson.
Yeah, absolutely. So one really simple practice is to start each day by writing down 3 things you're grateful for. It could be anything, big or small, from the roof over your head to the sunshine streaming through your window.
And would you like write them in a gratitude journal or something?
Yeah, a journal is a great way to keep track of your gratitude practice, but
Right.
even just jotting them down on a sticky note is a powerful way to shift your focus to the good in your life.
So the act of writing itself is like reinforcing that sense of gratitude.
Exactly. It helps to solidify the feeling in your mind and body.
Interesting. I like that. And you said 3 things every day.
Yeah, 3 is a good starting point. It's enough to get you thinking about the abundance in your life without feeling overwhelming.
I like that. Simple but powerful.
Exactly. And as you practice this consistently, you'll start to notice a shift in your perception. You'll become more attuned to the miracles that are already happening all around you.
And maybe even more open to receiving like bigger, bolder miracles.
Absolutely. Because when you believe you're entitled to miracles, you start to expect them. And when you expect them, you create the space for them to manifest.
Amazing. So just to recap, our listeners, they can start practicing this, feeling of entitlement, saying the affirmation, I am entitled to miracles, and also that gratitude practice of writing down 3 things they're grateful for every day.
Yes, exactly. And see what happens. I guarantee you'll start to experience more miracles in your life.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into lesson 9. And remember, listeners, you are entitled to miracles. Embrace that truth, see what unfolds, and we'll see you back here tomorrow for another lesson.
See you then.